Yo, what's up guys? Ethan, hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video. We're gonna see how horribly I can play, but still find a way to be up on the session here. So we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully we don't play as bad as we have in the past couple of videos, because it's been pretty brutal. So we're gonna see what happens. It's a Friday afternoon, so things should be good today. We might be here for a while if we're here past 12. That's just going to happen. If we're here past 12, right now it's like 3, 4 o'clock. If we're here until midnight, we're gonna be here until 3, 4 a.m. Anyways, let's see how today goes. Maybe we can book a big win, maybe we can play half decent, but we'll report back to the hand now. Let's get into some of these hands here. First hand that we have pocket nines in the cutoff. I raised things up to $16 over 2 limpers. On this beautiful active table, we get 4 callers. So let's go to a flop 5 ways. Flop comes 3, 5, 5, rainbow, and action checks to me. I go ahead and bet $35 my over pair. Let's just try to deny equity from overcards and whatnot. So I bet the $35. It folds all the way back to an early position limper, who raises me to $85. Folds all the way back to me, and here's such a small raise. This check raise doesn't really make a whole lot of sense on this board. Especially rainbow. I think a 5 should be slow playing this sometimes. So here, not believing him, I go ahead and make the call. Turn comes the 4 of spades. So it brings in the backdoor flush draw, and he checks, which is pretty weird. Didn't mention this. He also had a really short stack of about like $100 left. Here, not really comfortable with this spot because the board did get a lot more connected. I go ahead and just check it back. River comes the 10 of diamonds, and he quickly just jams his whole stack in for $93 total. Here, pocket nines, like, I don't really know what's going on here. This is a very weird line, and, well, if he has a 5, he has a 5, so be it. So I just go ahead, toss in the call, and he shows 6, 7 of spades, so pretty gin turn there, I guess, for him. He also turned the straight open-ended, straight flush draw, which is crazy. Anyways, that's what happened, and yeah, I guess it's a good table. Next hand after that, we have ace 4 of hearts under the gun with an under the gun straddle. Early position player limps, middle position player raises things up to $25. Big blind makes the call, and here's my wheel ace under the gun and straddling. Let's go ahead and 3-bet this out of position. Let's take control of this pot right now and see what happens. I go ahead and 3-bet to $105. It folds all the way back to the middle position player, who doesn't think for too long before jamming it all in, covering me. Man, that's not what we wanted. The big blind folds, and I cannot be calling, even though I committed so much, and I'm 250 left to call, basically. Yeah, we're not calling. We're not going all in with ace 4 suited, so we unfortunately fold to his 4-bet. He shows pocket jacks. Okay, well, we're losing. And after that, we have ace 8 offsuits in middle position. We're playing 7-handed. Opening up my pre-flop range here, let's go ahead and raise this up to $15, and only one player makes the call. Player in the small blind, and this is the same player from the first 2 hands, so we're getting involved with this player. Flop comes 4, 5, 6, 2 diamonds out there, and he tanks for a little bit and actually checks. Here, when he tank checks, I think he's pretty strong a lot of the time, or at least connected to this board. So I go ahead and check it back with our gutter ball and 2 overs. We're off to a turn, which comes the jack of hearts, bringing in a backdoor flush draw. He bets $15, super small bets, and here, still with an over, still with a gutter ball. We're going to call the 15 and see what happens. So we make the call, and we go to a river, which is the 9 of spades. He checks to me, and here this line doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I feel like it's just a 1 pair holding at best here. So I go ahead and just fire $40 after sensing some weakness. He tanks for about a minute or 2 and then just tosses in a chip. Call. I say good call since I have ace high, and he shows pocket 7s. So I guess that was a good call by him, unfortunately. Really great flop for him, but yeah, we're losing all 3 hands to the same person early on in the session here. So those 3 hands happened. I'm down $400 in hour 1 of the session. Not a great start, but let's try to bounce back. Following hand here, we have ace king of diamonds in early position, and here going to open things up to $15. We get one player in the big blind who makes the call. He has been playing a ton. He's the VIP at the table, and he has an infinite range, so that's what we're going to call him here. So we're off to a flop against the infinite range player. Flop comes ace, jack, 9, 2 clubs out there, so flopping top on a pretty wet connected board. I go ahead and bet $25 when he checks to me, and he makes the call. Turn comes the 10 of hearts, which board is even more connected, and he leads out for $30. This is interesting. Not really sure what he could be holding here, but we unfortunately have quite a marginal hand, one pair hand on this flop here, but here, I am going to call here. I really wanted to check back on this turn, obviously, but against this player, we can't really fold just yet, so we make the call of $30. We are off to a river, which is the 5 of hearts. Doesn't really change anything at all, and he once again bets $75. This spot here, I'm probably folding against most players, but against the player that could be overplaying one pair, he could hold it. Really, any 2 cards, really. If he has us beat, he has us beat. I toss in a chip and call. He shows ace 6 of hearts. So he did overplay a pair of aces, and we take it down there. So we get some value all 3 streets. Hand for that, we have ace 8 of clubs in the cutoff. The early position player, who is the infinite range player, open limps. Here, auctions onto me. I'm going to try to ISO him and raise things up to $18, just a little bit on the bigger side. And only he makes the call, so we're going heads up in position against this player. Flop comes ace, 9, 7, 2 spades out there, and when he checks to me, I'm going to bet with top pair here with a bunch of backdoor straight draws. So I bet $25, and he tosses in a call. Turn comes the 6 of hearts. Pretty great card for us. Even though we have one pair, we do improve to open-ended, so when he checks to me, I don't really want to lose him just yet. I mean, I could be good a lot of the time, but also sometimes I'm probably behind sometimes, just considering how wet this board is. So I just check it back. We're going to evaluate a river and see what happens. River is the beautiful 10 of hearts. Spade draws miss. I get there with the straight. And it's really unlikely that I'm up against jack 8 for the nuts. So here sitting with the second nut. Even better news, he bets out $75 into me. And he has about $210 behind. About $300 total in his stack. So I think about it. Really no reason to do anything but Hollywood just a little bit. And then rip it all in. I think he calls with 2 pair 100% of the time, and he just might really call with an ace somehow. He tanks for about a minute or 2. I'm praying for a call, He tosses in a chip, he calls, we show our 8, and we scoop up a pretty big pot. This next spot here, mixing things up with 3, 4 of spades in the small blind. The ungun player limps, ungun +1 raises it up to $15. The infinite player makes the call, literally calling every hand. And here with a very horrible suited connector out of position, we make a loose call as well for $15, and ungun makes the call. So we're off to a flop multi-way. The flop comes 7, 6, 4 rainbow, and we flop bottom pair. We have a bad gutter ball. You know, we've got something going on here. It's not a total brick of a flop. Action's good for us, though, because it checks around, gives us a free card. Turn is another 4. We improve the trips. Bring in a backdoor flush draw as well. Let's go ahead and bet, because we probably have the best hand right now. I bet $30. It folds to the player who has an infinite range, who jams his whole stack for $121 total. I could not call faster. I'm pretty sure I threw in my chip before his chips crossed the line. So we are off to a river. River comes in 8. Horrible card, as any 5 is now improved to a straight, but doesn't really need to worry about that because he shows queen 4 offsuit for an out-kicked trips. He literally beat like the one combination of trips that I could have possibly had in a normal range, but queen 4, queen is a pretty good kicker when you turn trips like that. So we double him up, and we're just tossing chips back and forth. This next hand comes later on into the session, and, well, we are playing 5-handed, and I'm in the big blind with king 3 of diamonds. The button, who is the infinite player, open limps. The small blind calls here, sensing weakness, and I want to ISO against the button. I go ahead and raise it up to $15 with our suited wheel-ish king. That makes sense. So I raise the 18 button, infinite range, playing 100% of the hands. He calls as well. And the small blind gets out of the way. So let's go to a flop. Flop comes jack 9, 7, 2 diamonds out there. Here with the flush draw, we actually flopped some sort of equity with king 3, which is a little hard to do. I bet $20, and he makes the call. Turn comes the 10 of clubs, bringing us a gutter ball, so we have more equity here. Increased additional equity, I go ahead and bet $60, a little bit bigger. He thinks for just a little bit and ends up making the call. So we're off to a river. We've got to improve. The pot is kind of building up just a little bit. We're off to a river. We need to improve. River is the ace of diamonds. We are such a luck box. So we have the nuts now. So here I have about $270 behind in our stack. And honestly, I'm obviously not going to check this river back to him. I'm going to have to bet. And immediately, a normal sizing of $100 or $150 is probably going to be the sizing I want to go with. But, I think a hand that's going to call $100 or $150 bet is going to call my jam anyways. So let's try to look a little bit more like a bluff as well. Polarize ourselves just a little bit and go for max value. I jam my entire stack in, and he calls pretty quickly. Not sure what he could have had, but we've turned over the nuts, and obviously they're good. So we get another double up against this player. Lucky to smash that river there. Another marginal hand here. We have Jack-8 of diamonds on the big blind. There are 4 limpers to us here, sensing weakness. There's no reason to explain this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I went ahead and just raised it up to $20. We do not isolate the infinite range because 3 players make the call. The flop comes 9, 7, 6, 2 spades and a diamond out there, so really not the worst flop in the world. Gutter ball, backdoor flush draw, and 1 overcard. So I'm going to check out of position, not really going to blow up this pot. Action checks to the player with infinite range. He bets $25. The button makes the call, and here, for such a small amount, let's go ahead and peel one and see what happens. So we go ahead and call as well. We're off to a turn, which is the ace of clubs. I do not improve, so I just check. Infinite player bets $35. Here, when the button folds and, I'm heads up against this player, $35 is just too small of a price to fold just yet. I could probably bluff on later streets, see what happens. I could hit our gutter ball and get max value from him again or something like that. I don't really know what his range could be like, obviously, so we're going to toss in the call of $35, and let's see what happens. The river comes the Jack of Hearts. No need to bluff at this since I have a bunch of showdown equity here. So just going to check, and he fires a bet of $140. Facing such a big bet on the river, not a spot that I love right now. Initial thought is to fold. Haven't really seen him bet too big to polarize himself, especially for value. So thinking about it for a little bit, the only time I've ever seen him bet big, or at least on the larger side, was just a complete airball bluff. So going with the past experience and seeing what I've seen in the past for the past couple hours, if he has it, so be it. I toss in the call with a rivered pair of jacks. He shows queen 5 of spades for a missed flush draw, and we take it down. We got him on the river, and we take down a pretty big pot. An hour passes after that hand, and we got something pretty fun going on at the table. We played a hand that was 1, 3, 6 with the straddle, 12 as myself. I blind raised to 12, and the player to my left blind raised to 24. We got a 1, 3, 6, 12, 24 hand going. That was super fun, and of course it ultimately ended up being an all-in situation, heads up pre-flop. I wasn't involved, but it ended up being ace queen versus 10-7 offsuit. 10-7 turned trips and took it down. So yeah, the interesting spots. Just wanted to comment about it because that was actually a super fun time. I wish I was able to capture the footage. Next hand we'll go over, we have pocket 8s in the hijack. There is a limper to me here with a pair. Let's raise it up to $15. The cutoff 3 bets me to $50, and it folds all the way back to me. Here I've shown that I have folded to multiple 3 bets recently, so here I'm just going to call here. He has about like 500, a little bit over 500 in his stack, so we can also set mine here out of position, see a flop, see what happens. So I go ahead and make the call of $50, and we're off to a flop. Flop comes 10, 7, 6, 2 spades and a heart out there. So pretty great board for us. I check, and he bets $100, betting pot in this flop here. I'm not really sure what's going on. Given past action and playing with him for the past few hours, his 3-betting range doesn't even consist of anything connected to this board. So he could be betting really big here with an overpair, which seems like a real overplay, or he most likely has a hand like ace king, ace queen of spades, 2 overs and a flush draw here. So I'm not really sure what in the world he's doing betting so big though, but it seems like he's trying to get me off the hand. And I just know that he doesn't connect with this board ever because he just never 3-bets suited connectors. So I go ahead and tank and think about raising, but I think raising is just suicidal. I'm going to run into the best of it a lot of the time, and we definitely do have some outs if we're still behind right now. So with about $400 behind in his stack effective, I go ahead and toss in the call for $100, and we're going to see what happens. Turn comes the bink, beautiful 9 of hearts. Wow. We're running pretty good. Brings in a backdoor flush draw as well. So there's a spades and heart draw out there. Here, I'm going to check. I think if I'm right and he has a hand like ace king of spades, ace king of hearts, I don't think he's really going to be hitting the brakes here just yet and slow down. So expecting him to be double barreling a lot on this turn card if he has nothing. And he does do that. He bets $180 here. Obviously, just going to jam it all in with about 400 effective and 400 total. So I go ahead and put him all in. He thinks about it and just says that he has to call. I'm not really sure what that means. I think like an overpair could easily fold here in this spot, or any one pair hand could, unless it was jacks or something like that, or specifically jacks maybe. But even queens, kings, aces, they seem like to be like a fold. But he calls, and we're going to river. River is an absolute brick. I really don't remember what it was, but I show my hand, and we are good. He mucks. He said that he had an overpair. I'm not really sure what he could have had, to be honest, but most likely seems like he was on a draw. But we get maximum value and stack him. Right after winning that really big hand in that big pot there, we look down at pocket aces while still trying to stack our chips up. So, wow, this is pretty good and pretty good run of events here. So we get an on-the-gun player who limps. Player to my right raises to $18. This is alarming or interesting development here because he doesn't raise ever. I've seen him limp hands like pocket jacks, pocket queens, multi-way. So when he raises up to not only does he raise, but he raises to a larger sizing, he's got to be at the top of his range here. And this is also pretty good timing because I literally apparently just sucked out on a really big pot, and now I'm going to 3-bet with the best hand ever. Awesome timing. I go ahead and 3-bet to $60. It folds all the way back around to him, and we've been pretty friendly. He watches the channel as well. So he goes ahead and just flats our $60, and we're off to a flop in position. Flop comes 10-7-7 rainbow. He leads out into us $75, and with about $300 behind, I think the best play here is to raise, considering how narrow his range is. I think his range is really capped to kings, aces, queens, and maybe jacks. I don't even think he raises jacks there because of just what I've seen. And obviously he doesn't raise queens either. So like it's really kings or queens, and I don't really think he has a 7 in his range ever. So here, I mean, because of how narrow that range is, I could raise, but I decided to just flat evaluate a turn and see what happens. So we call and we go heads up to a turn. Turn comes the 9 of clubs. So board a lot more connected now, and he throws out a bet of $150. This is a pretty weird spot to be in. I mean, this bet here just commits his whole stack by betting half of his stack. So I'm thinking, we're just trying to be a little more cautious about this because sometimes I could be running into it just by knowing how narrow that range is pre-flop. I go ahead, stick it all in, jam about $300 effective, and he sighs, thinks about it, and makes the call. He has pocket kings, so we're trying to fade 2 outs. The river comes a 10. So our 2 pair, aces and 10s, hold up against his kings. But huge shout out to JP. Thanks for watching the channel. You're a huge supporter of the vlog. Just an unfortunate situation to have to stack you there and run into aces versus kings against you specifically. Well, we did it again. Good session. Ran really well. I think I played average. I played all right. In the beginning, I never really played great. It's always a huge issue. I was in the game for 700, so casual extra $400 over one buy-in. Like I don't know how many times. Like I really want to know how many times I've been in a 1-3 game for $300 because it is not often at all. But Friday night it was good. We got out of here a little bit early. On the earlier side, I guess. It's about like 6, what was it? It's like 10:30 or something like that, close to 11. So we played for about 7 hours, just under 7 hours. I'll have the stats on the screen right now, so I don't have to say anything, but obviously it was a good session. Ran really well and had those 2 back-to-back hands that basically made the whole session as to what it was. The good old suck out with pocket 8s. I think my call was fine. I think Yeah, I mean, with my pocket 8's call, I think it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It's obviously just super high variance, and I was going for it. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I sucked down on him. I hit like a 6 outer, basically, but besides that, you know, it is what it is. So thank you guys so much for watching. Obviously, in the game for 700, out of the game for 1847. So really great day and night overall. And we're gonna go home and we're going to play here tomorrow. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Appreciate literally all the support on these videos. It's actually crazy how watching the channel really start growing now at this point, and meeting a bunch of you guys that are, wow, I just noticed that radio was on the whole time. Meeting a bunch of you guys that are from the area and are local, super cool. So anyways, thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, please leave a like. Really would appreciate that if you made it to the end of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.